You hear the mic?
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
All right, welcome everybody to a late edition of the what happened this week on Instagram for 2A. We normally do this early in the day so that we can be the opening act for the Cape Gunworks show, but that didn't happen today. So we got the co-host who's being super lazy today. He's just laying here, but I have a belly to rub now. And we have a poll going right now. So we're doing the show live. We're doing it a little bit late in the day. And we'll be taking a look at Instagram. But I like to ask a poll question if I can. So today's poll question is, what is the most important thing for Second Amendment right now? Is it the less than 90-day comment period that's in the happenings right now? We kind of got it creamed in the last couple of comment periods, depending on who you talk to. We got Massachusetts, 4420, massive situation, opportunity to rally, opportunity to join forces and challenge tyranny. And then we've got the red herring. I mean, New Mexico and the governor and every single camera, national level organization, and podcast talking about one thing that one governor did. How's this mic working, by the way? New microphone over here, and I got fans going. There's a truck making noises and stuff. How much of that are you getting? Are you getting snorty here, making his snorts? And then the last option, Second Amendment activism, creating new activists, becoming an activist, doing activist stuff, going to rallies and events and that kind of thing. So that's the questions for you, or the options for you. 90-day less than 90-day comment period, the Massachusetts situation, the New Mexico news of the day, and 2A activism. So right now, what do you know? 2A activism is getting 62% of the vote, with New Mexico coming in at 25%, and 90-day comment period coming in at 12%. Nobody, not even this puppy, voted for Massachusetts, although he didn't vote for anybody. So we're live, and we'll be saying hey to the people in the chat here in a bit. But what we're really here for isn't for this little dude. It is for what I'm about to put on the screen behind the little dude, which is our Instagrams. So we'll bring that up on the real screen. I can figure out which screen I'm supposed to be looking at here. And we'll take a look at what happened this week on Instagram, channels that we follow, the accounts that we pay attention to, what they've done, and what's going on in their worlds, which is a slice of the 2A experience. Let's put a quick definition out there. When I say 2A, I don't mean guns. Like that's wrong. That's just the new age, my new speak. But guns and 2A have nothing to do with each other almost. Second Amendment is actually arms. So that means all kinds of stuff, including guns, but not at all limited to guns. You know how hard it is with 3 monitors? How hard it is for me with 3 monitors? You can tell by this little monitor down here. I can't figure out where my mouse is and what screen is what. I've literally lost what screen is what. So let me try to get my bearings here again. Where is my mouse? There's my mouse. I can bring this over here. Okay, I think I'm figuring it out. Here's Instagram. We can drop the comment for now, and then that'll bring Puppy to the bottom. And if Puppy doesn't start doing something better than nothing over here, then Puppy is going to lose his window because he's just taking up space over here. Okay, I think I have finally figured out how to get everything off the screen. Now let's go over to Instagram and zoom it in. Here we go. Ugh. Oh my. So, boy, everything's getting choppy. Puppy's seeing a bug or something. All right, so what I'm going to do is drop the YouTube for now. Am I simulcasting this? I am. So I'm going to drop the YouTube for now, drop the link to the main channel in the description here, and go ahead and I'm going to close out of my Instagram too because I don't care, because I need to close some windows. So I'm not using a Macintosh, so I have to be hobbled. I have to go with the speed that my processors can keep up to. I'm constantly reminded I don't have an M2 processor or whatever. So I had to drop a bunch of windows to get back on the game here. All right, so we missed the early time slot today. Sorry about that. We're rambling here, but that's not my fault. My co-host is being weird, so I'm distracted by that. And we're about to look at Instagram. I just closed everything, so now I have to open everything back up again, but that's the reason you close it all. All right. A lot of shows that prepare all this stuff ahead of time and it all happens smoothly, that's known as fake. That is not actually happening. That's a bunch of stuff that's scripted and designed to create programming. All right, so we're going to go to the saved section of Instagram, and we're going to go into the everything I've looked at over the last week, or everything I've saved, and we'll talk about what that means in a bit. And if anybody can remember where I ended last week, thank you very much, because I can't. I think I remember seeing this hand leather worked guitar for all the people that like the guitar out there. Then let's start with this one. It says 7 days ago. We're going to start with this one. How's this mic working? Any feedback on this mic? Let's bring this up a little bit because dude is not going to sit still. It's being weird over here. I apologize for my weird co-host. And to all those people that can't handle a dog in a Second Amendment chat, get out of here. Leave. What are you even doing here? This dog is going to be here, and he's here all the time, so you can get out of here. All right, so we got Gunmetal Guy saying, hey, thanks for being here. That was earlier today, I believe. Same with Mike White. Thanks for being here at the early part of when we set this thing all up earlier today. Gunmetal Guy was here actually at 3 a.m. when I set this thing up. All right, I'm taking off his little business over here. He looks weird having his business on. Let's see. Then we finally catch up. Unapologetically Armed is the first comment here at this new time slot. Second Amendment activism, ensuring folks are aware of all the above poll options. I really think that's the all the above option, really. But it's better than that because we wouldn't have these attacks once we're competent at defending ourselves. We will no longer be attacked anywhere near the way that we are now. Right now, we are a convenient enemy when necessary, and lots of people play into the game. So whenever they need to, a la New Mexico, they can just change the whole narrative. Boom. As quick as one little thing, they can change everybody's focus. Mike White is out there. Good afternoon. Snob is joining us. The Gun Snob. You might want to check out Gun Snob's channel if you're interested in one of those GoPro 12s. I believe he has the first video about those things posted. So just so you know. Unapologetically Armed says, got the truck. Okay, I don't know what that means. And Tactical FUD is out there. Our Tack and Daughters, welcome. Mike White is saying, I don't think they really read, or if they do, they don't care about our comments. Well, I beg to differ. We can show you proof of that, but there's more to it than how they react. The consequences of rallying together to create awareness for what our rights protect creates a future where we are able to work together even better. So we're to the place we are today because people rallied behind those comment periods, and whether or not the consequences of the results of the comment periods were what we wanted out of the ATF, we still have our side of that and what we get out of it as a community. We don't get many opportunities to rally together. Our national level organizations are interested in doing their own individual things to score their own points. So these are opportunities with the comment periods for a bunch of different entities to work towards a specific goal. So there's lots of good stuff about these comment periods, in my opinion. Gear Report from the guitar side is saying the most chilling right now is the New Mexico. If that goes unchallenged, then it sets precedence for 2A to be suspended. Of course, however, it's already challenged. So each of the national level organizations that has lawyers on call, which is all of them, called their lawyers, and the lawyers did what would be expected when unconstitutional stuff is challenged or championed as, the other side's whatever, like victory. So they already have a stay, and it took less than a couple of days for that. Too many monitors. It's not really too many monitors. It's just that Amazon has such great prices on monitors. It's silly to not own 2 extra monitors for every laptop. Mike, sounds good. Right on. Thanks for the feedback. Oh, Black Guns and Gardens. Welcome. I don't really have anything going on in the garden right now, but got a little bit of fertilizer right here. I heard the truck. Oh, you did heard the truck backing up through the mic. Okay, so that's interesting to know. I've got 2 modes on the mic. I've got the all-around mode, like if it was sitting in the middle of the table, and then I've got the little heart-shaped mode. So at some point, I won't do it in this show. I'll wiggle around the microphone and see if it's maybe better if I was on. Is it any better if I'm on this side of it? Because now I'm above the microphone right now. And now I'm below the microphone. Any difference? Above or below the microphone? Above the microphone. Anyway, so now we'll dig into it. So again, thanks everybody for joining us live. And if you're out there and you're watching this and be a part of it, I don't just do programming. I don't just do stuff to do stuff. I could do a million things if I was trying to get fame and fortune. What I'm trying to do is create a conversation to pull the stuff off of Instagram over here, and shove it up onto YouTube over here, because a bunch of you people don't hang out with each other. And a lot of the messages over there have some finesse, have some nuance to them that make them a lot more fun and more interesting. And I think cut right to the nerve. They can cut right to the point, unlike some of the YouTube stuff that gets long and boring and people bring their dogs into it, and it's a big distracting mess. So if we can get past the little dog on the screen, maybe we can get into this already. Below the mic is better? Okay, good, because I'd rather have it above me. That means I don't have to wiggle it around either. So thanks for the feedback. All right, so we're talking about Rebecca Schmoy, a longtime Second Amendment activist who then put her money and her time and her life on hold to put her money where her mouth is and run for office. So she's a congressperson in Kansas, and it says democracy equals majority rule, constitutional republic equals rights of the individual supersede the wants of the majority. And then over here it says words matter. So she does some pretty succinct, pretty concise messaging like this often. So you often see Rebecca in my show like this. I wonder if I can make this so the dog's not quite as slanted all the time. He's not actually sitting slanted. Okay. I can be less distracted by that. Next one up is Stephen Holbrook, who's also often featured in this. Look over at Instagram. He's a writer and a researcher, historian, and an expert witness once in a while in people's discussions about the Second Amendment and its history. And now that the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin, the loser, that decision last year, a lot of people are bringing up the text and tradition instead of the whatever, right? So then they refer to these people who've researched it and are still kicking, like Stephen Holbrook. So he's doing a lot on Instagram. He posts these things that, sometimes are time appropriate and sometimes just kind of randomly. So this one says, no person shall presume privately to wear any pocket pistol. And then it shows an old goofy looking Derringer, kind of like the original Derringer. Then it says over on the side, in 1686, the province of East New Jersey enacted a law having no parallel in any other colony or even West New Jersey. It provided that no person shall presume privately to wear any pocket pistol or any other unusual, unlawful weapons, which did not affect open carry. And that no planter shall ride or go unarmed. No planter shall ride or go armed with sword, pistol, or dagger, excepting all strangers traveling upon their lawful occasions through this province, behaving themselves peacefully. The former is the only known restriction in any of the colonies on concealed carry. From A Right to Bear Arms, a book he wrote, A Right to Bear Arms, a constitutional right of the people or a privilege of the ruling class. And then it says Paul Revere's pocket flintlock pistol. The handle shape is known as the fishtail. So I didn't know that Paul Revere had a flintlock. I guess he did. All right, so that was pretty interesting, maybe. Next up is the NSSF, and talking about Gabby Giffords. Giffords gun control tries 3. I don't know what that means. Does that say ill or 3? Fundraising scheme. So essentially, Giffords' campaign, if you pay attention to him at all, has been cycling through some different efforts, and people are trying to understand what those reasonings might be. But essentially, they're looking for funding. They're attempting to find more funding. I got to drink some coffee here. Hold on. Stick up me drinking that coffee. It says NSSF exposes Giffords Law Center's controversial fundraising tactics to undermine Second Amendment rights. Second Amendment protected rights. Learn how they exploit legacy planning to fund baseless lawsuits against firearms manufacturers. Stay informed, protect your rights. Read the story on their blog, on the NSSF blog. All right, buddy, you're going down. I'm putting him down. You're going down, buddy. You're getting out of here. You won't shut up. So you're going down. All right, you got rid of the puppy. All the people that hate little puppies can be happy that he's now out of the picture. There we go. So, yeah, freaking Gabby. So, she's from here in Tucson, so we've known Gabby for a long time. And her project, her organization, which has already changed names a couple of times, is worthy of paying attention to because it's one of the main Bloomberg chess pieces. So paying attention to these might be interesting on the grand scheme of things, on the big playing field, on the to know what they might be up to, what they're thinking. Right now, though, they're trying to encourage people to leave their legacies, to leave their inheritances to the Giffords Law Center. Interesting. To have the, well, it's just interesting. It'd be maybe an interesting conversation for a panel discussion. Ever heard of Michigan? The Michigan Coalition for Responsible Gun Owners, MCRGO. So Rick Ector is saying, my birthday is this month, and I want you to celebrate with me by contributing a tax-deductible donation to my choice of charity. The Michigan Coalition for Responsible Gun Owners is a deserving organization. They have helped my organization, which is Legally Armed in Detroit, train thousands of women on how to safely operate a personal defense tool. I am honored by your support. So, true story. So that's Rick Ector, who does the ladies training event each July. And as he says, it's his birthday month. I think that's one, it's cool because months are better than specific dates. There's no reason to give people your date of birth. And having a month gives your friends and family and those interested an entire month to get ready to do something, to prepare a response, or to do something like this, offer a contribution to an organization that is of worth. So Rick does an awesome job here leading the way, as he's done often. He's been online doing this stuff longer than me, and I've been definitely doing it longer than y'all listening to this, I'm assuming. So Rick is definitely OG, and one of the reasons these guys are still kicking is because they're figuring out ways to do it better, do it different. So you don't see too many people doing this angle. I love it. This would be a neat tradition for the industry, for the community, whatever, to get in the habit of. And it's a state level organization. Even better. By the way, Michigan has like 4. So if you don't like that one, find another one. There's a whole bunch. Hey, don't make a bunch of noise up here and then go down there and make a bunch of noise. So now we have Teresa Inniker from New Jersey. And she says, listen to Susan from Missouri asking the good questions. Yes, you should challenge this. And then let's see what it says here.
Had indeed been a part of this brief. So in the table of contents, it caught my eye that place of worship was listed among the restrictions that they were arguing as unconstitutional. Again, don't get me wrong, I completely agree. But here's the thing. In Missouri, we still have restrictions on carrying in churches. So does this mean if someone were to sue the state of Missouri for infringing on their right to carry in their church, that our state's attorney general would be on the side of the plaintiff, asking for a friend? So there's this case in Maryland. Maryland shall issue, and other plaintiffs v. Montgomery County, Maryland. So a group of 19 state attorney generals have filed a brief arguing that the Maryland County sensitive places are unconstitutional.
So here's how this works. Susan, who's out in the chat right now, makes a post about a situation in Maryland which has raised the attention or gotten the attention of 19 states attorney generals. So the attorney general, the head law enforcement in 19 states are so upset by the situation in Maryland that they've done this action. So Susan in Missouri is posting about that, and now Teresa in New Jersey is posting about Susan in Missouri, posting about Maryland, posting about 19 states being aware of this. And now I'm in Arizona posting about Teresa in New Jersey, posting about Susan in Missouri, posting about what's happening in Maryland. That's how this kind of stuff works. That's the web, that's the network, that's how the logarithms see stuff, and that's where you have value. I am one person, Teresa's one person, Susan's one person. We can illustrate this because we're talking about this specific path or chain of events. But what we're not saying here is G23 links to Susan, Gizzard links to Teresa, Tony Simon links to Teresa. There's other links. People don't link to everything. People pick up where it comes close to them or where they gets on their radar, and that's how this stuff works. When we exercise these simple things, we become more competent and understand the mechanisms. When necessary, we're able to master their use with the results and the consequences that we desire. So it's frustrating to someone who's understands what potential we have when we don't exercise it. So it's interesting in this post, not just for the reasons here that, is going on, the situation in Maryland, which is similar to the situations in other states. And because of that, we're able to show the situation for what it is, that it has two sides and that they're ignoring things. They're taking things for granted when they present a one-sided view of it. And unfortunately, that's what the representatives are taking action on. So our opposition isn't just that the fact that they're doing it, but our opposition is also attempting to explain our position. And that's where we've made a lot of gain. We have done so much since 2015 or 2017 or 2009 or 2000, depending on where you want to drop a pin on the map or the timeline. But this is a great example of not just the topic at hand, but how that interconnection works. All right, going back to the DC project, we got Diana Mueller, who is the lady who put together the DC project in 2015. She was after being a Tulsa police officer for 23 years. She's also a competitive shooter. And one of the other hats she wears is the Ambassador Academy, which is a week-long group or week-long event for people who want to become professionals in the firearms industry in different realms. So this is something like a $3,000 event that is all inclusive and is a pretty impressive opportunity. And there's plenty of people that show up and pay full price, people that are doing this for real and want to hone their skills and work with people that are at that level. And they also offer scholarships. So Diana's posting here about a week ago, so I don't know if they're still available, but about a week ago, that applications for scholarships are available and how to contact them at Media Training and More, Orlando, Florida. Oh, wait, this is describing the thing. Media Training and More. It's in Orlando, and it's in February of next year. So it'll be just after SHOT Show by a couple of weeks. And you can go to form.jotform.com, and I'm not even going to try to read those numbers. It's a ridiculous link, but whatever. Then it says, class is filling fast, but we have a huge opportunity in scholarships from the NSSF. Link is in the biography, or link is in her bio. Deadline is October 13th. So that sounds like a pretty good window. If you're interested in really upping your game and doing this for real, the Ambassador Academy, which happens in Orlando, Florida, February 17th through 21st of next year, is an opportunity to get trained by the ultimate in the professionals in the industry, train with people who are going to be the next generation of professionals in the industry, and meet the industry. You come out of it with actual product as well. Like you come out with headshots and literal training that is how to work as a, what do they call them, ambassador, product ambassador, brand ambassador in the industry. It's pretty good stuff. Let's see. I guess I might be blowing off comments if anything's coming in. Nope, nothing's coming in. Let's see. FYI, Mike is saying, FYI, it's my birth month is next month, so you have plenty of time to decide on what to get him. Right on. I think you could get him probably something for a little puppy, and then that might work. Air and Space Museum says Wiley Post reached the stratosphere wearing this, and it looks like a crazy outfit from a science fiction movie, a low-budget science fiction movie. It says today in 1934, but this was on September 5th. So September 5th, 1934, Wiley Post reached the stratosphere in his Lockheed Vega called Winnie Mae. The aircraft didn't have a pressurized cabin, so he wore a pressure suit and helmet designed for him by B.F. Goodrich, the company. The odd-looking getup, recognized as the world's first pressurized flight suit, is in our collection. So that's the kind of neat stuff that you can find out about if you're interested in the way that we got to where we are. Air and Space Museum. That's the one in Ohio. There's good stuff in Ohio. Don't let anybody tell you any different. So we got Gun Culture, which is Professor Yamane at Wake Forest University, and he's saying, I asked my sociology of gun students in class yesterday to write down one word that encapsulates their gun range field trip experience. Here are their responses. More reflections on this coming up on my Light Overheat YouTube channel and Gun Curious blog. So the professor has a portion of his class where he allows students who want to take a field trip to the range, and it's like a private, kind of a small private range, and they're there and they have the whole thing to themselves, so it's very few distractions or anything going on. And he gives them some what am I trying to say, some basic overview of the firearms, and then an opportunity to shoot them if they want, I think. But these are students, and they're not necessarily students who are into guns or anything, so it doesn't seem like from the pictures over the years that it's been something where they're shooting a lot of ammunition as much as breaking some apprehensions, or, correcting some apprehensions. I don't know what the word is. So anyway, he has them write down a single word. I'll go through and read some of the words that were written here. This is great if you go through and look at some of the photos that he posted prior, to see the way the students were standing around kind of watching and experiencing it. So they range from cool, cathartic, power, exhilarating, humbling, fun, exhilarating again, thrilling, safe, controlled, fun again, loud, unique, informative, fun a third time, and fun a fourth time. So I doubt that you made it an entertaining event. I'm sure you didn't make it stiflingly boring or anything either, but interesting to see that fun is the default for 4 of the students. Also, none of them wrote in cursive because they don't teach cursive no more, which is good because nobody likes reading cursive. That's pretty much a Europe thing. I don't know why people like cursive so much, except for the Constitution's written in it. We could just print the Constitution out, and then it would be, we don't have to have that old piece of paper no more. Back to Stephen Holbrook. He's got some pictures of some redcoats set in here. It says, reports of seizures of arms by the British and of attempts of Americans to obtain arms fill the newspapers of the mid-1700s. In 1776, a typical issue of the Virginia Gazette noted, they write from St. something, that the commander-in-chief of the maritime department there had ordered 4 American vessels laden with muskets, pistols, swords, bayonets, and whatever C is, to give up their cargoes and proceed home in ballast. When the British fleet descended on Martha's Vineyard in 1778, its commanders demanded all the arms and ammunition and accoutrements on the island. Despite their relative inaccuracy, pistols were common arms that were eagerly sought after on the civilian market and used with effect in the Revolution's battles. So another excerpt. I don't know if he applies to anything, but some of those are kind of interesting, so I tag them. So I don't know if Ghost is listening. So if Ghost is listening, maybe he should go smoke a cigarette or something. But this one is an oldie and a goodie. This one comes from Gun Owners Radio. It says the problem with golf is that a golf course is the waste of a perfectly good rifle range. And I agree. And I think that, there's ways that you can do both, right? You can have golf for like a couple of hours on the weekend and then go back to being a rifle range for all the rest of the time and all of the evenings. Nobody can play golf at night anyway, but you can shoot at night. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, give people suppressors and some lights. They can shoot at night. It's a lot of fun. So the description here says, in case anyone says there's a problem with golf, this is the correct answer. So I don't know too many people into golf, but we do know some people who are definitely into golf. Let's see. Unapologetically Arm says, it's always when Missouri legislature is in high gear. Otherwise, I might be begging for a spot at the Ambassador Academy. Oh, you mean in February? Yeah. And that's, I guess, one of those things because not all the states are kind of in lockstep with that, which is probably good. All right. The next one is from Cheryl here in Arizona. Says, join us for the 2A Grassroots Roundtable and Strategy Summit. This was, or is going to be, Thursday, September 20. Oh, really? Interesting. Thursday, September 21st. Starts at 6 p.m. at their Pot of Gold Auctions location in Avondale, which is essentially Phoenix, but people up there insist on acting like there's a whole bunch of different towns. But Phoenix is one big suburban sprawl city. Anyway, the Pot of Gold auctions is over on the east side, really close to, the closest to California. It's not really close to California, but it's the farthest west, I should say. Am I saying east? It's the farthest west. So because this is right before the Gun Rights Policy Conference on September 22nd and 3rd, you're going to have Cheryl there as the moderator. You've got Diana Mueller, founder of the DC Project, Michael Gibbs, who's now the president of the Arizona Citizens Defense League. I can't say his name, but the president of ASRPA. Okay. And then Holly Sullivan from Connecticut Citizens Defense League, who was on Cape Gunworks Rapid Fire Radio earlier today. Philip Van Cleve from Virginia Citizens Defense League will be there. Definitely an OG, along with Holly and Diana. Then you've got Alan Gottlieb, who is the guy who owns the Second Amendment Foundation. Got Alan Corwin. It says he's the president of JPFO. I didn't know that. Then you've got, but I know Alan Corwin for a long, long time. Some guy, president of the GRNC. Grassroots North Carolina? I don't know what GRNC is necessarily off the top of my head. Then Chris Stone, straight director of Gun Owners of America. Michael somebody, managing partner of something. I don't know who that is. And then Laura Smith, spokesperson, that's interesting, no longer president of Liberal Gun Club. So very interesting to see. And tickets are $25. Oh, well, dang it. $25. Cost me $80 to get up there, or $100 depending on where gas is, and then $25. Anyway, says the DCP, the DC Project AZ, is excited to be hosting this 2A Grassroots Roundtable and Strategy Summit. Does that really say 2A Grass event? Thursday, September 21st from 6 to 9. So it's $25 for 3 hours. Doors open at 5 at their Pot of Gold auction house. Collaborate between various member-based grassroots 2A organizations in order to maximize maximize our synergistic impact on the future of our inalienable right to keep and bear arms. The panel will consist of 10 plus founders and presidents of pro 2A member-based organizations. And I guess I could have read it over here. So that last person is Michael Yeah, I still don't know who managing partner of AZ FITA is. Let's find out what AZ FITA is. Arizona Firearms Industry Trade Association. I never even heard of this thing. What's up with this? About. Well, I guess we can all look at this together. About. Blah, 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 blah. Where's a date? I don't see a date. About us. Do you see a date? Copyright 23. So the first thing I do is grab this and I go back. Way back. And find out when that website started. Started this year. So interesting. AZ FITA, Firearms Industry Trade Association, a nonprofit association of firearms-related business in Arizona and other interested parties, works to enhance and improve. Can they make this smaller? Works to enhance the trade, blah, 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 quarterly dinner meetings. Sponsoring of association member, what? Association member gun shows? What do they mean gun shows? Where's these gun shows? Well, they threw a flag on the floor and threw a fucking Beretta on it. That makes me really care about that place. So we'll close out of there. So it's some guy who works at an organization that throws our flag on the floor and throws Berettas on it. So anyway, that'll be neat. A bunch of people hanging out, and for $25, you can go hang out with them for 3 hours.
Your point is valid.
This is like if you were trying to go somewhere and your kid is like, hey, look at that dog. And then you're trying to go somewhere and then the kid's like, hey, look at that dog. And then you're trying to go somewhere and then the kid's like, look at that dog. And then you're trying to get somewhere and the kid's like, look at that dog. At some point, you're not going to keep looking at that dogs no more. So this just seems like such a on-cue thing that I don't even want to comment on anymore. But this was one of the first posts I seen about it, I guess. I'm going to unlike it at this point. You don't have to permanently like something just because you liked it. Speaking of permanently liking something, we got Carrie Ann O'Clair and what's his face? Charlie over here. Carrie Ann is saying, I'm grateful for the friendship of Charlie Cook. Thank you so much for your help and dedication to my personal growth. I greatly appreciate everything you've done for me and everyone in our Second Amendment community. You are a true patriot all the way. Thank you, my friend. So, yeah, get a room. They like each other, and they're hanging out probably at 5 days ago. Would have been that it was the Massachusetts thing, right? On that Sunday thing in Massachusetts? No. I don't remember. I don't remember what thing that was. Let's see. Oh, it was the goal event. Thank you very much. So, let's see. Bummed I won't get in. Oh, you're going to go to Phoenix for that stuff? So, you won't be able to go to that event? That's too bad. Snob is back. We managed to get through it here. Mike is saying, I bought gas yesterday. It was $5.25 a gallon at a cheap place in Southern California. That makes me glad that I took my road trip when I did. Actually, you did take your road trip at a good time, cost of gas-wise. It's creeping up over $4 here in Tucson. It had been setting at like 3, not 2, but 3, low 3s for a long time. And now it's definitely high 3s and up over 4. I have to get gas here in a bit, so I'm not digging it. Let's see. Next up is Gun Owners of America, and this is saying about the ATF publishing their universal registration rule. So that's what they're calling it. Action alert, ATF just published their universal registration rule. GOA members have 90 days to comment on this gross abuse of power. Really, doesn't everybody have 90 days? But whatever. So action alert, the proposed ATF universal registration check rule. Is that what they're calling it? I don't want to call it that. Was officially published today. We now have 90 days. We have way less than that now. It's like 85 days to submit comments on why this rule is a gross misuse of the executive branch. Tell them. Buying firearms and selling them is a basic right protected by 2A. Universal background checks are only enforceable with a gun registry. My right's my property. Registration leads to confiscation. So be scared and grab your guns and cower. How about we not do the boring ass old narrative? These are a given and don't need to be even said because everyone knows this. But what we could be doing is changing the narrative already. So what am I going to do? It's the national level organization. They make about the fourth, if you count the NRA, and then you get rid of the one that nobody pays attention to that makes all the money. And then you get rid of Second Amendment Foundation, who makes more money than them. Gun Owners America makes the most money. So they're making the fourth largest amount of money under NRA, the one nobody wants to talk about, Second Amendment Foundation. So, this is what they're going to give us. What did we see from Second Amendment Foundation? Nothing. NRA? Nothing. So the other one, of course, nothing. So what are we going to do? This is what we get. Same old, same old. Is that easy to read? Are we calling it the universal registration rule? That sounds dumb as hell. Anyway, so next we get Cape Gunworks, an individual gun shop attempting to create awareness. Protect the Second Amendment, Stop Bill 4420. So this is the Massachusetts kind of wish list of anti-gun stuff that had attempted to be pushed through out of session earlier this year. It couldn't go through, but they put it on pause, and they anticipate that coming back up through the normal process this year still in a few weeks, months. I'm not really totally sure. I think the 27th of September, or I don't know if I'm wrong. Unapologetically Armed is saying $3.89 in South $3.89 for gas in Southwest Missouri. It's always cheaper in the middle of the country because they can float the gas up the Mississippi on top because it's lighter than water. So they'll just float most of the gasoline up the Mississippi, from what I understand. And that's why it's so cheap in the middle of the country. Then you got Goal in Massachusetts saying, this is what a tyrant looks like. The New Mexico governor has banned the carrying of guns in Albuquerque for 30 days because of a public health emergency. This is a true inflection point in this country. The Constitution overrules your petty degree, Your Highness. Oh my God, I'm tired of this. So I don't know how many people are tired of this stuff, but seriously, you know when you're being played, right? Like, this isn't real. This is an attempt to not do the comment period. I mean, I can't see it anymore, obviously. Triggrology is saying, let's see. So he went to an event in Southern Arizona or Southern California, Central California, wherever he's at. And it was some kind of gym or something. So I don't know if I linked to the one where he really says the thing. So essentially the people are up on that stage. He's only a couple of rows back, so he's right next to the stage. And there's quite a few people there. And when this post here is him saying that they didn't really offer any security, but they also required that no one be able to protect themselves, essentially. But then he posts another post where he asks a question kind of out of order to the people on the stage. So I'm not sure if I dig that so much. We're trying to make a point, but when the rules of order or whatever are not obeyed, then people will tend to not listen to the message at all and reject the messaging. So I think there's something to be lost, and I don't know if there was much to be gained by just shouting out our position. It can be seen as aggressive. I think there's too many negatives. All right, Gun Owners America says Alabama school suspends a first grader for making a finger gun. I can understand Fox News trying to make something out of nothing, but Gun Owners of America, a minute ago, you're posting about the comment period with this like shit ass graphic that, fourth largest national level organization we got. And it's like, I don't know, all Arial, all capital, all smashed together, blue on white, like that. And then they do all this for bullshit ass nothing story. Come on. I mean, I can understand Fox News. I can understand some YouTuber who just wants to get in front of everybody's face every night. Oh yeah, I can tell you about whatever happened on the news that's appalling or annoying or whatever. But national level organizations, I don't think you need to fill airtime. Speaking of national level organizations, Pets for Vets is pretty fun. They help put pets and veterans together, and they have a pretty good Instagram page. So this one says, yeah, I'm into fitness whole pizza in my mouth. That's how it should say. Fitness whole pizza in my mouth. I guess I didn't say it right. And then it's this, I don't know what kind of dog that is. Some kind of little dog thinks he's so good. Leaning over there in front of a little, let's say a medium-sized pizza. Your Christmas 740 out there. Are you Mike corking you? Are you about to do something right now? This is his day. So I apologize if I'm corking. I just missed my time slot entirely today. Steamrolled right through it. And I wanted to salvage the show while it's still the day. Gun Culture, who we talked about earlier, posted this one. This is from Oscar Wilde. Anybody can sympathize with the sufferings of a friend, but it requires a very fine nature to sympathize with a friend's success. It's interesting. So, I don't know what's going on with that, but hopefully you're happy with people that are successful. We'd be better off if everybody was successful on our side, right? Cheryl Todd is saying, what do these books have to do with each other? Well, come hear my presentation at the Second Amendment Foundation's 2023 Alternative Multimedia Conference in Phoenix, Arizona on Friday, September 22nd to find out. Tickets are free. So if anybody's, I think it sounds like Susan's going to that. You'll find out what Tuesdays with Maury, Unreasonable Hospitality, The Power of Scarcity, and the Second Amendment Manifesto all have to do with whatever Cheryl's going to be talking about. Cheryl usually puts together a great presentation, and because of what she does, because of the roles she plays, and because of the passion she has to stay involved in each of those roles. A lot of people can put on hats, but Cheryl does a pretty good job of doing whatever's need to be done to, with that hat. So because she's got that experience, very few people have that experience. So her perspective is not just unique, but it's an interesting perspective because of, again, she works at the high level at so many organizations. And unlike Diana Mueller, who spends her time doing competition shooting and training and all the stuff that's necessary for competition shooting, Cheryl spends all of her time doing stuff and then encouraging others and enabling others. And I don't know if she does a lot of coaching, but I've never asked her for coaching. She may do coaching as well. So Cheryl's obviously doing a lot, but then additionally focused on encouraging others to be part of it and enabling. So it would be interesting to see that. Hopefully they'll record it. They usually don't, so maybe I won't see it. So next up is Battle Comp. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So it says something about blah, 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 right? And then it says, here's Battle Comp. Only an abject fool thinks she did this without consulting DC. So Battle Comp, a great company, great head on their shoulders, great perception of what's going on in the world, not taking things for granted. They were aware of this pretty much instantly when it came out, and then went ahead and started posting it back then that this is a test, this is bullshit. So then their next one was, if you're not willing to learn, no one can help you. If you're determined to learn, no one can stop you. And that's by Zig Ziglar. So I like that one a lot. If you're not willing to learn, no one can help you. If you're determined to learn, no one can stop you. So I'm hoping I'm reaching people out there that are somewhere in between there. Don't get discouraged when your attempts to inform and encourage fall on deaf ears, because not everybody's at the same place. And what you lay down on the internet isn't temporary. What you lay down on the internet has permanence. So there's usefulness, not just for your own experience, but there's usefulness because it can be referred to and referenced. It can be, it is archived. So you will be able to recall it if necessary. So what you do has value, even if you don't see the immediate value in whatever the results is that you're seeking. If you're determined to learn, no one can stop you. I hope I'm only dealing with people like that. If you need to be encouraged to be part of this, you're not listening to this. So next up is Firearms Policy Coalition, and it says the illegitimate actions in New Mexico Governor Michelle something are no surprise if you've been paying attention to the disarmament regime's propagandists. These people are evil. So, they took an opportunity to push some guy's head on the thing and then, I guess, write an article about a hair salon. I don't understand what this is. Gunners of America breaking. GOA and the Gun Foundation have officially filed a lawsuit. What? Against the mayor. What do you know? So the mayor of New Mexico got up and said, let's play tetherball. And the national level organization said, we can do that. And they did. Puppy doesn't know what I'm doing, clapping like this. Foss? I don't know. I don't even know what to say. I mean, he's a friend or whatever. He does good stuff out there. You may enjoy his overnight chats on Saturday nights in the late evenings. You may remember the Mouse Party when it was on Wednesdays, and it's now every other Saturday night. But first off, it's Chicago-style pizza, which is fine, right? That's the best kind and the realest of pizzas. But then he goes the obscene distance of putting this whole pineapple creation of pineapple pizza situation together here. If I wasn't against the whole concept of it, I would do a poll on whether or not the apple of pine is appropriate on a pizza. But that's it. I'm not interested. Speaking of being interested, though, I should go look at the poll. I shut that all down earlier. We do have a poll going. And eventually, when my internet catches up, what is the most important thing for 2A right now? Is it the 90-day comment period? Well, actually, the 85-day comment period. Is it the Massachusetts 4420 issue? Or is it the New Mexico tyranny? Or is it new 2A activism? Or I guess 2A activism in general. The most important thing, according to listeners right now, well, you're not listeners because you're participating in the poll. According to those here with us today, is activism, 57%. And here's what's ironic. Everyone who actively participated in this, the rest of these people ignored the activism part, even though they actively participated in it. But anyway, 36% are saying tyranny in Mexico, New Mexico, new tyranny in Mexico. And nobody is saying Massachusetts. And then 7% said 90-day comment, the 85-day comment period. Comment periods will come and go. And the other side uses those to determine whether or not we have an opinion, whether or not we care. So next up is the tactical medic. I'm going to leave this one out here because I don't know. So tactical medic, good friends up in Phoenix, and they sell a bunch of first aid stuff. They're medics, tactical medic as the name implies. They do a lot of training, they host a lot of training at their location in Phoenix area, and then they sell patches. They're big patch people. But in this case, I don't even know what I'm looking at here. It says Sugarland's Syrup and Waffles. And then it says Eggo brunch in a jar. And there's a picture of a waffle and it's a jar. And then it says sippin' cream. Does anybody know what this is? Is this a jar of some kind of cream that you pour on a waffle? See, there's like a bowl over here with cream in it. And then there's a waffle over here. And there's some bacon over here. So I don't know where this jar comes into. Does anybody have any idea what this jar is? And then it's a jar of Eggo sippin' cream. And it costs $20 freaking dollars. $20 freaking dollars. So I don't know what's up with that. Oops, I'm clicking the wrong thing. Nope, totally clicked the wrong thing. Let's go back. What the hell? All right, let's go. I have to zoom in, out a little bit. Out. And then go back to my page. We're looking at our saved, and then we're looking at all of them. And how far were we? Not very far. We still got a bunch to go. So we were just looking at that sippin' cream. So if anybody knows what Eggo sippin' cream is, I'm definitely interested. So here is Clearing the Chamber. She's the only person I've seen that did a post about 9/11/12 with Benghazi. It's alcohol. Are you kidding? No. Are you kidding? Breakfast alcohol? What? Holy moly. I guess everybody's got to eat breakfast. So anyhow, Benghazi happened in 2012, and there's a bunch of people that are, I don't know, deniers of Benghazi, I guess. And there's a bunch of people that make an effort to remember it since it happened on the anniversary of 9/11. I don't know. So I'm not going to make a big point of it, but, do yourself a favor, especially if you're alive since 2011, or 2001. Think about how the things have changed, and maybe use that as a metric or a gauge to other things that have stayed or changed as traditions for a long time. Oh, okay. Yeah, I would have no idea. I figured it was some sort of syrup or something, like a fancy syrup. All right, so now we have gun policy, Firearms Policy Coalition. 2 days ago, the ATF engaged in the business proposed rule has been published. The 90-day comment period is open. And of course, focused in on two people for some reason, and the ATF logo in the background. Whatever, but at least it's better than GOA's white and black nothing. So let's see. It says, let's get after it and crush the ATF's tyranny before it starts. You can find the comment portal for the engaged in the business proposed here. federalregister.gov. Okay, so it is at federalregister.gov/documents/09/08/19177/ definition of engage in the business as a dealer in firearms. What a bunch of a-holes. So there's a million other ways they could have done that. They did it this way because they don't give a shit, because they're a-holes. Not the FPC, but ATF. We got a comment period. We've got FPC, the smallest, the one that's barely bringing in $1 million. If they're lucky, they're bringing in like 3 million now. The other organizations bringing in somewhere. Well, NRA is bringing in 200 million. Then you've got organizations that no one wants to talk about bringing in $16 to $20 million. Then you've got the Second Amendment Foundation bringing in $16 to $20 million, I'm assuming, based on the past. And they pay for the Gun Rights Policy Conference. And then you got NSSF in there making actually quite a bit of money, 10 million, 20 million. I don't know. They make quite a bit of money, but they're paying for SHOT Show with it. Then you've got Gun Owners of America making as much money as Second Amendment Foundation, almost, but not paying for any kind of gun rights policy conference anywhere. And then you've got FPC making like if they're lucky a couple of $1 million. So something like a factor of 4 times smaller than all the other organizations, and they've got the best, well, not the best, but they've got graphics that actually look at you know, can make you want to look twice at the graphic. And they're actually posting, hey, let's get at it, let's be work at it. What's the word? What am I trying to say? I can't think of the name, but let's get at it before proactive. That's the word I'm looking for. And then they give you an actual freaking link here in Instagram where it doesn't even work. So kudos to them. I always give them shit for looking up everybody's noses and looking at eyeballs and shit that's useless, but they're the only ones that actually put an executable link that you can actually do something with and some encouragement to do so. But we're going to see their boilerplate in a bit, and they'll be competing with Gun Owners of America's boilerplate to be the most copied and pasted responses to the comment period. Unfortunately, it's been like that for years and years. Faster Saves Lives says, spending today training a proactive, there's my word, proactive school system with Faster Saves Lives, HB 99 equal. I don't know what that means. What is your school doing? I don't know. I don't go to school. So this is some kind of a mug in some kind of a room with some sort of a monitor that has some sort of a slide that says Faster Saves Lives on it. Pretty cool. They teach the entire staff how to deal with emergencies of all types, including firearms and stuff like that, spree killers. So there's other things that can happen, teaching school administrators and faculties, administrators, something, and teachers. So it involves the entire school and all emergencies. We'll keep moving on. Then you get, this one's pretty good. Is this music? Oh, it is. So it says, in Cincinnati, 2 men armed with a grasshopper apparently stole $25 from a restaurant's cash register after using the insect to scare away the cashier. The 2 men in their 20s walked into the restaurant brandishing the grasshopper, which is big but harmless. They thrust it at the cashier, who is 22 years old, who ran away. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of interesting. Kind of funny. Kind of interesting at the same time. It says, every town comes out from behind the curtain. So NSSF is posting a close-up of somebody's Every Town button. For years, the gun control organizations have been seeking to dismantle the Bipartisan Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act, the PLACA. That's the crucial federal law shielding firearms manufacturers and sellers from frivolous lawsuits designed to bankrupt law-abiding businesses by blaming them for the criminal misuse of lawfully sold firearms or drive the industry to its knees and impose gun control through court-ordered settlements. It is what former Clinton Secretary of Labor Robert Reich dubbed regulation through litigation. Gun control advocates have unsuccessfully urged Congress to repeal the law, falsely claiming it provides total immunity from all lawsuits, a falsehood regularly repeated by President Biden, even though the media has fact-checked him and said it's not true in court. These groups have unsuccessfully challenged PLACA's constitutionality. Now, the enemies of the Second Amendment have opened up a new line of attack on the PLACA, surreptitiously led by the Bloomberg-funded Everytown for Gun Safety. They have convinced a few blue anti-gun legislators to pass an unconstitutional public nuisance anti-PLACA statute. These statutes attempt to end run around PLACA to set the table for a renaissance of reckless lawsuits against members of the industry. NSSF is challenging the Everytown-backed laws in New York, New Jersey, Delaware, California, Illinois, Washington, and Hawaii. NSSF is committed to preventing Everytown and other gun-grabbing organizations from destroying our industry, and with it, the Second Amendment. All right, NSSF. They're offering the information that's important, but they're doing it in a wimpy, like, lame way. But what are we going to do? That's all we got. So thanks for offering it. Do it better next time. How about that? Then we have the Gray Man Brief, Second Amendment Brief, Nebraska. You ever heard of Nebraska? Democrat-controlled cities have begun passing ordinances through mayoral executive orders that partially preempt a new state law that removes the requirement to obtain a concealed carry permit and related training for citizens aged 21 and older. In Omaha, the mayor signed an order banning firearms at all city-owned or leased properties, including parks, trails, and public spaces, sidewalks, and libraries. The bill went into effect August 31st, does away with the need to purchase, the state bill, which went into effect August 31st, does away with the need to purchase a $100 state permit and pass a safety course, which can cost as much as $250. Open carrying in Nebraska is legal without a permit for anyone at least 18 of age that's not prohibited from possessing a firearm. The law does not remove a background check or federal or a firearm purchase certificate permit requirements. And then they say to read their brief. So this is interesting because this is somebody who's more of like a prepper channel, more of a pay attention to the political news and the strategic news, the tactical blah, 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 like the stuff that's tactically relevant to people's decision making. And they're bringing up Nebraska. So is it a slow news week, or is Nebraska and their weird non-state preemption thing that big a deal? I don't know. I know some people in Nebraska who would say it's a big deal. All right, next up, let's let Philip tell you what he's saying.
Culturally, that had the things that we like to talk about and hear about. I wanted a place for African Americans that were seeking some refuge, where they would not be diminished for their perspective on politics or how they dressed or who they love. I wanted a place for people that was home. That's what I wanted when I started NAGA. Because when you come to NAGA, two things are going to happen. We're going to give you a high five, we're going to give you a big hug. And the one thing we're not going to do, we're not going to judge you. Everyone is treated right. Everyone is treated fairly. There is no, you have to walk alike, talk alike, and dress alike type of mindset. We've been through that for literally hundreds of years. We don't want that.
All right, so I have no idea what the hell he's talking about there, but, you can start an organization or whatever you want to start an organization about. My question is, was there some kind of lockstep that the gun industry ever did? The answer is no, of course, but there might have been a perception, and that's a perception that is not an educated perception. That's a perception that's engineered by the manipulators who are trying to change that Overton window. So when there's the connotation that gun owners, or the manufactured perception that gun owners are, and then fill in the blank, whatever, something negative, right? Whatever it is that you are, here's whatever you don't like. That's what gun owners are. If that's the messaging, then those people who could care less about guns one way or the other assume gun owners are the people that they don't like, right? And the people that are out to get them. So if that's what's being fed to people, and they said, and then people say, hey, you know what? I don't want to live without guns no more. I'm going to get guns no matter what. Are they challenged? Are they getting guns no matter what? Like in spite of the industry that said you can't? Because that never happened. Or in spite of the perception that the industry wasn't going to invite whatever, ladies, people of color, young people, old people, people who can't speak English, people who shoot 9mm, like any subsection of the group of people that are out there. If you want to draw lines, there's always been this like, oh, I can't shoot competition because I'm not good enough. Like, oh, I can't go hunting because I'm not good enough or whatever. Like, there's always some perceived barrier, and then there's the real barriers, and then there's the uh, societal perceived barrier. So we did a bad job of marketing, of optics, or whatever you want to say, for many years. And it sounds like one positive, unintentional positive result is that NAGA started from a perception that the gun, I think what he's saying, what Philip's saying, is that there was a perception that the gun community wouldn't be accepting of new gun owners if, and whatever, fill in the blank, because there's other organizations that also started with that concept or that perception. Well, guess what? In reality, I can tell you, gun owners, there might be a couple of people who are assholes, but in reality, like, most people are like, oh, you like the hobby I like? Awesome. Let's enjoy our hobby together. So they're happy to see more people on board. It makes things more interesting, and it brings prices down, and it ensures the longevity of your whole, like, passion. So I don't know of anybody who doesn't want people around. Like I say, you can go find assholes who are weird and who don't want people around for whatever reason, but ignoring them, there's the majority of people are happy to see new gun owners. So now that we've had 7-8 years of new gun owners coming on board from all different walks of life. Hopefully we'll get past this concept that there even was. Well, I mean, there was, I guess, to some people. You can always have whatever perception you want, but this idea that there was this old gun ownership and this new gun ownership, because in actuality, gun ownership is pretty much gun ownership. Once people decide they're going to take responsibility to own something dangerous that other people and maybe themselves thought was too dangerous a minute ago, it's like the difference between before you can ride a bike and after you can ride a bike, before you can swim and after you can swim, before you're allowed to cross the street and after you decide you can walk across the street on your own. There's just that experience and maturity level that you gain when you're able to take on that responsibility. Anyway, so I thought that was an interesting post, but again, I'm kind of questioning. I would be cool to have a conversation with Philip about the perception of the community / industry / what's the other one besides community? Culture, because there might have been a culture thing too. And all that's changing now. But back in 2015, what was and what people perceived, right? That would be interesting. For some people, it would be interesting to archive that. Or maybe no one's going to archive it and everyone will just assume that everyone was a bunch of a-holes back in the day. Speaking of back in the day, you ever seen a Browning 1818? Or is it a 1918? 308? Or no, wait, these are 30-06 belt-fed, tripod-mounted machine guns with their barrels essentially chopped off, and a 70-year-old dude or 70-something-year-old dude shooting one in each hand while he's kneeling in his own backyard. Complete belts, not just like, oh, I'm going to shoot off 12 rounds for the internet. It gets boring shooting an entire belt, and people that do it wiggle their guns because they want to do stuff out downrange. He's interacting with his shot placement. And he's done it enough times to not need to have some sort of weird reaction. You can always tell somebody who shot a gun a couple of times versus somebody who's only done it for pictures based on what happens when the magazine stops, when they're done. And, the reaction of a person who's comfortable with machine guns. Dragonman. You can go hang out at Dragonman and go to his 31st annual machine gun shoot, the first time they're going to have an industry range day. September 16th and 17th. If I had the money, I would be up there. If anybody wants to go join our Patreon, we have a link down at the bottom of the screen. It says our Patreons make it possible for us to spend time on projects like this one. So each week I try to smash Instagram over onto YouTube and let the people on Instagram know that it happened, so that it's harder to get Instagram people to do anything. You know how it is. But this is one of our projects. We do some coaching. We do some Q&A. We do some weekly wrap-up stuff. I try to do some flashback stuff when I can. As soon as I can, I'll start doing some interviews again. We got the tactical quiz coming back again for season 4, I think. And these are all possible in addition to a couple of dozen websites that are out there offering valid information that we've accumulated over the years, both in research and promotion of different things that are happening out there, from gun shops to gun shows to events to people to projects to news to, well, not really news, but like the history of news, to make it possible to find things when you're having conversations, to know where to find the answers when you're having a debate with somebody. So again, these resources are available. They're not free. It costs money every single month. It costs time to keep all that stuff going. And it's our Patreons that make that possible. So we really do appreciate that. And if you'd like to see us get up to Dragonman's this weekend, we only would need probably 100 or maybe 200 new Patreons, all jumping on board for like $20. So that literally thousands of bucks showers in. But with thousands of bucks, I could hook up the van and I could fill it up with gas and I could get my ass up to Dragonman's with. I probably wouldn't bring Mello because she hates the noise, but I would bring the puppy because he doesn't care. And then I would try to get a little set of hearing protection for him. And then all the fun that means going to Dragonman's. It means you drive past the range in New Mexico. It means you drive past Red Dawn. It means you drive past BMC Tactical in Albuquerque and the big surplus store in Albuquerque. So that would be cool. Plus, probably talk Honda to come down if I was up there. But anyway, that's this weekend, so probably not going to see 200 new Patreons dropping $25 or more. But if it happens, wait, is that even enough? If we saw 100 new Patreons, I don't know. Maybe next year. Wyndham Weaponry used to be called Blackhawk. Wait, no, used to be called Bushmaster. That's what happens when you're dyslexic. So Bushmaster got the ass kicked out of them, and nobody cared, and everybody watched them get crap kicked out of them. So they left, and the people that left behind looked at each other and said, well, why don't we start the factory again and call it Wyndham Weaponry? And they did. They kept all the machinery. They have the same people. So it's essentially Bushmaster. Whenever that stuff happened, I don't remember anymore, 2000-something, 12. So it's been a while, and people like or don't like the quality of their work. But it says, with deep regret, we announced the closing of Wyndham Weaponry. Our website will be ordering through September 12th, Tuesday. Just ended already, and we'll do our best to order or to ship all the orders by the next week. Then 12 years ago, when we started, our shareholder, what would 12 years ago be? 8, 11, yeah, something like 12. When we started Wyndham, our shareholders and longtime employees were excited to continue the traditions and spirit of Bushmaster Firearms after the new owners decided to leave Maine. We built Wyndham into a company we could be proud of, providing outstanding customer service, high-quality products, as well as a great place for our dedicated employees to work. The last few years have been a challenging time for the firearms industry, and we've struggled to keep the Wyndham dream alive for as long as possible. Unfortunately, we have not been able to meet our loan obligations with the bank after they've worked with us as much as they could. There was a glimmer of hope when we were negotiating with an investor to help keep Wyndham alive and healthy, but that just fell through. We have begun discussions with an auction company to determine the best course of auction for a full liquidation, which should happen within the next month or so. Our shareholders and employees truly appreciate your loyal support all these years. We don't always get a goodbye announcement / press release, so it's always frustrating and unfortunate, even when a company isn't necessarily deserving or the biggest, or it's just, no matter what, it's always a bad thing when we lose a chunk of capitalism. Next up is NSSF again. New Mexico's governor reveals empirical ambitions, constitutional contempt. I'm not going to read this because I'm sick of her already, but this is NSSF posting an FPC style picture. Really? Do we need to see her baring her teeth? Do we not understand that she's a dumbass? Like, do we need to see her baring her teeth like this? It's just going to make NSSF look bad to the people who hate NSSF. So they could have taken the higher ground. They're not winning any points by making this idiot look bad to us. So it just seems short-sighted to me. Maybe I'm overthinking it because I'm sick of this distraction.
Are you not in violation of both the U.S. Constitution?
And here's FPC. Everybody's backing away from defending her. It's going to be destroyed. The rest of her disarmament bullshit will be next. That's the only thing I would have liked to have seen. Like, next, like it's a barking dog. Let's keep marching. Let's we got other things to worry about. Let's not worry about this one. She essentially tested the waters and learned something from it. The Asian Pacific American Gun Owners Association, APA-GOA. It says, how did you spend your time during the National Shooting Sports Month? APA-GOA had a great time at the Aries Training Facility in Leesburg, Florida, with Beretta and something else. Thank you for all the attendees, volunteers, and our partners and sponsors, including Aries Training, something. The Asian Pacific American Gun Owners Association is a nonprofit organization dedicated to providing resources for APA and other gun owners to use their firearms safely and responsibly. So going to an industry event as a nonprofit, that's the new cool thing, being part of the industry, because nonprofits are part of the industry. Be curious to see a conversation, a panel discussion on, is the Second Amendment organizations part of the industry? Is that their goal, to teach us how to run optics? Is their goal to teach us gun reviews? Or is their goal something else? Do they need to hang out with the people who are doing gun reviews and teach us about optics and what grip angle is the next one to wish for, to lust after? All right, well, so now we're going to look at how I carry. Is there music here? I don't know if that's copyrighted. It says, from a year from now, you'll wish you... It says, a year from now, you'll wish you had started today. And then she does sort of a slideshow little thing where she shows a bunch of stuff like grabbing a gun and a loader and pulling it out of a holster and then shooting at some interactive metal targets. And then it ends with, what are you waiting for? And that's a good message. If you're going to wait around, then you're never going to get started. And if you don't get started, you don't get experience and get in it and start experiencing it. So it says, don't wait until the perfect time to get started. That time may never come. Take that class. Sign up for the competition. I'll bet you'll be glad you did. I finally carved out a little range time to try out the Glock Performance trigger in my G34 and a fresh box of 9mm from my friends at someplace. Both ran perfectly as expected. Yeah, right. I hate it when 9mm people have to act like their guns work all good because they feel embarrassed. Let's see. So then we got Cape Gunworks, and look at this. It's a bunch of dogs. Except it's copyrightable. So this one says No, I can't read them all. But there's essentially a bunch of little puppies that come into the shop, and they take pictures of them and what they're all about. So this says first timers getting acquainted. Matt brought good boy Joey in for a visit. Number of days since Arlo ate someone's lunch, 0. Today is the day Arlo needs the most coffee. Smile. In-house security, there's Arlo again. Pistol, I can't get that one. Pistol pickup, Remington is here for vendor day. One handsome 2A supporter. Transfer pickup. So that's kind of cool. I like the whole idea. I mean, obviously I'm paying attention to Cape Gunworks, so I'm watching their channel, but I watch quite a few gun shops, and I haven't seen any others that... Well, I shouldn't say that. I've seen others do this, but it'd be cool to see it on a regular basis to take pictures of the different dogs that come in, service dogs and just regular dogs that come in to visit the shop. Because then what happens is people start to bring their dogs into the shop. You know what I'm saying? It's a win-win. Win-win-win, because we all win. Speaking of winning, Tony says, second for everyone, Diversity Shoot mission is to welcome all people into the firearms community. We aim to educate people on their Second Amendment civil right to keep and bear arms, firearms safety, and firearms manipulation. We discuss the racist history of gun control, current laws, regulations, and requirements while introducing them to the Second Amendment rights organizations that fight for our rights. We also eat pizza, shoot guns, and have fun. Join us Thursday, September 21st. Oh, I thought it was next week. No, that is next week. 21st, 6 to 9 at Union Hill Gun Club in Monroe, New Jersey. Thank you for our ammo sponsor, Ammo Lab, and tickets are available on Eventbrite and at the website, diversityshoot.com. So Tony's letting people know about his next shoot. If you want to participate, feel free. Spread the word for sure. And if you want, buy a slot, help them pay for some of that pizza. And then we got San Diego gun owners. It says Big Man Comics artist Gabe, I don't know his name, speaks on Gun Owners Radio, the Magnum show, about he left his dream job at DC Comics. Check out the full episode in the link in our bio. So the Magnum episodes are back, and these are long format interview conversations with people about stuff. So usually it's gun related, but not always. Sometimes it's gun adjacent, but not always. And in this case, this is an artist who worked at DC Comics and worked on quite a few of the name brand titles, the different superheroes and stuff, but became disillusioned with their politics, and then eventually left the industry, left the DC Comics, at least employer, because of the culture, he said, in the comics department. And that's how they kind of start the conversation. But man, do they get into a lot of stuff. This is not necessarily gun related. It's not politics, but it is just personal choices and life in 2023 and attitudes and perceptions. And, these guys are in California and they've got weird lives where they're drawing comics and talking on the radio. But really interesting conversation. If you've got some time, it's more than an hour. I caught maybe the last half of it, I think. More than half. It was pretty good. Back to Stephen Holbrook. It says the executive branch has no authority to invent new crimes. He's added again. Merrick Garland proposes ever more intrusive ATF regulations. Second Amendment Roundup, 9/11/2023. Says Attorney General Merrick Garland is proposing new ATF regulations that would expand definitions in the Gun Control Act to require ever more gun owners to obtain FFL licenses. This follows a regulation redefining frame or receiver and another one reclassifying pistols with braces as short-barreled rifles. The proposed ATF regulations here purport to make law by expanding the reach of the Gun Control Act beyond what Congress enacted. The rule states that a person shall be presumed to be engaged in the business of dealing in firearms in civil and administrative proceedings if the person does something on a non-exhaustive list that the ATF invented, such as offers for sale firearms, and also demonstrates a willingness and ability to purchase and sell additional firearms. A single firearm need not even be sold if the person expresses a willingness to sell firearms. Even if the person has no firearms to sell, that's not how Congress defined these terms. Read his whole post, and that gives you another idea of like having someone who's a researcher and someone who's a writer and who's familiar with the roots and the the intricacies and the origins of these things. Having them offer perspective is often very useful. Oh, snap. Got a buck coming in from Brooke. Thank you very much. Considering I haven't shipped you the stuff from the store. I was just saying, I think I was trying to get to the posters last week and I couldn't get there. So I'm going to try to get to the posters again next Thursday, I think, or next week, let's say. Maybe Thursday. And so I appreciate the super chat. Thank you very much. Super chat is just giving me $1, essentially. So thank you for that. We'll have to give you some super chats on your Saturday show. Wait a minute. I'm assuming, I don't know if you're monetized. I assume a lot of shit sometimes. So Brooke does a show on Saturdays where mental health awareness and suicide prevention are the focus. It's a show to offer insight and some ways to have conversations with people on our side, the other side, and people that just might need some help, somebody to talk to or whatever. Not necessarily in a therapy type of way as much as a perspective and like, let's all change the narrative. Let's all create some, remove some barriers to entry. Let's talk about mental health the same way we talk about having a broken leg or a broken finger. Nobody bats an eye to talk about a broken finger and your theories or your experience in the healing. But when we have mental health issues because of perceptions of the media and perceptions of government, people have an interest in our actions. They've created this situation where, or the situation has been fostered. I don't know if they created it, but the situation exists where mental health is all but ignored and all but shunned to talk about. And there's really no reason for that. And we'll be better with shows like Brooks to make that more common, make that more approachable. Another person doing similar things is Gabby Franco. She says, as a lawyer, governor, whatever, must fully understand the implications of her egregious actions. So this is Gabby, not like regular people who are just trying to get some attention or just trying to put their hat on the peg that's a new thing going by, or, offer, just basically say something. So when Gabby says something, I'm paying attention. It says Governor What's-Her-Face claims her bold action to suspend people's Second Amendment rights is meant to fight gun violence. By her logic, the government should suspend the Fourth Amendment to fight the horrendous fentanyl situation. I believe that politicians like her learned during the pandemic that upholding their oath to the Constitution is relative to the crisis they declare. It is as if they believe their righteousness gives them the power to stomp on people's rights for the common good. So that's an awesome way, an eloquent way to frame the situation. But I'm going to move on. Ginny Thrasher is an Olympic level shooter, and since What's-His-Face Barbecue's always doing book clubs, I thought this might be interesting to talk about. It says our book club discussion on Instagram Live is almost here. Whether or not you've read, you can attend to gain some insight from our first book, Mastery by George Leonard. So they're calling it the On Target Book Club, and they're talking about books that are about guns, but in this case, shooting, competition shooting, probably marksmanship type competition shooting. And if you like to see, I don't know when this is. I just posted it because I got book club thing. But if it hasn't already happened, or maybe for the next one, you might want to check out Ginny. She's a Olympic level shooter, coach, and she's creative. She uses the internet to facilitate a bunch of stuff. All right, I guess that's the end. So that was the stuff we looked at. Let's take a look at how I get this stuff, since I don't have a time constraint. Normally I do this show earlier in the day on Wednesdays so that I can lead into the Cape Gun Works Rapid Fire Radio show. And my goodness. So this is what we're looking at. We're looking at the typical Instagram feed. I just went up and said, what's new, essentially, to Instagram. And it said here, my friend Tactical Medic, that we looked at one of his posts earlier, said that we had a bit of a storm last night here in Mesa. Came to work this morning to behold this. We suffered significant storm damage and flooding. Looks like there'll be a bunch of new items in the bargain bin next show. So this is, I'm assuming, their front door. Big chunk of the front window got blown out. Oh my goodness, look at how much of the store is all wet, flooded out. And they do keep stuff on the floor, but in these bins. So those bins, if they're watertight, kept some of it good. Oh my goodness, I forgot about moving that. We moved them in there a long time ago. They have a lot of stuff. I forgot about the back room. Holy shit. So, they probably suffered some frustration and losses. I don't know what's going on with Ed's manifesto there. Here's another look at the aliens that were shown in Mexico's Congress yesterday. Oh my goodness. So they're saying that that's an alien. There's the alien. The true minority in any government system is the individual, regardless of class, color, or creed. San Diego gun owners. Here's Toby. So here, Toby's talking about changing the time up to an earlier time this morning. So I already clicked this heart thing, and that's something that you can do when you're on Instagram. There's 4 things you can do when you're on Instagram. The first one is to heart. I guess there's 5 things or 6 things really, but first one would be do nothing. You could do nothing. You could just observe, look, and leave, right? Whatever you looked at is going to be remembered by Instagram, but to the basic level, it just pays attention to what you looked at, maybe how long you looked at it and stuff like that. But you can click that heart. And when you click that heart, that means that you are putting yourself on a list of other people that have clicked that heart. And you can find that list by clicking on who it says and others. So you can see all the other people that today have clicked the heart on that particular post. And that's an indication of the popularity and the reach of that post or that account, and the importance or the urgency of the post itself. So the person who posted it, or the account that posted it, and then the account or the topic of the post itself. Now, I could also say something. 2 people have already done that. You can click on the comments here and see what people have said. One of them is Duncan saying notifications are great. And then Steph said no chewing your nails. So, right. So now I could have added to that by clicking on the little speech bubble here and said something like, missed the beginning, but caught the end with Holly. And then I could put a @ CCDL, which is the beginning of CCDL _ carry on for whatever reason, is what the CCDL calls theirs. And then I can tell the robot to make beginning be spelled right. Okay, then I can say post. So now I have a comment that's also readable or discoverable. And look, they can click on my name and go to my post. Oh, it's almost like self-aggrandizement or whatever. Now, when you go over here, you can also find people, but not too many people are clicking on stuff and doing all that. But plenty of people want to say something funny or say something annoying or whatever. And then, you're going to get a bunch of people that can heart your comment. They can reply to your comment, or they can have a fit about your comment. So what you're going to discover is there's people that are going to live in the comments of other people's content. And that happens on every platform. And there's people that only live in the comments. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that's the way some people do their thing. And some people are out there being cool, and some people are out there being really freaking weird. So that's the next thing, is clicking on the speech bubble. And then you get this little paper airplane. And we're on a computer, so it's a little different here than it is on a phone. So if we were on a phone and I clicked this little paper airplane, it would shove this square up into my circles. So everybody's got these circles, and I never look at them because usually they're weird. I'm going to click on Cheryl. She'll have a normal one. These are stuff that people are scared to put on regular Instagram, so they put it in their circles because it's only going to last for 24 hours, and they can act like it never happened. So people will say dumbass shit up here. People will be weird up here. And a lot of people only hang out up here because it's kind of a different realm. Well, usually it's something like this where you got to pay attention to it, and it's might as well go watch YouTube. Or it's somebody reposting. So if I would have clicked that little paper airplane, I would have put Cheryl's post up into my circles, and that's what Cheryl did. Cheryl is reposting from DC Project, I think. So you can see what other people are reposting when you go up and surf the circles up there. It's almost like a whole different part of YouTube, a whole different part of Instagram in a way. So that's the paper airplane. I can't do it on a computer because it doesn't do nothing on a computer. It just tries to send a link to people when you do it on a computer. But then finally, you got this little ribbon-looking, chevron-looking badge thing. I don't know what to call this thing. So that lets you put it into your collections. And I've had Instagram for a long time. I use it for different things. And you can see I have a whole bunch of different collections of things that I find interesting or whatever, different reasons. Look, I even have a dumb one for 9mm. So that saved that to 9mm, but I don't want that saved to 9mm. This is a decent post. So I can unsave it, and then I can go back and resave it to whatever, just plain old nothing. Or I can save it to one of these specific ones. Like I might save it to gun shop since it's about a gun shop. I might save it to radio shows since it's about radio shows. But whatever. So then when you go up and look at your Instagram again, you can go to your saved, and depending on how many of those folders you've created, you can go browse through the posts that you've added there. And that's what we do every Wednesday, is take a look at the last week's worth in our collection here. All right. So let's go take a look at what people are saying over here. Let's end the poll. So we've had a poll going. A lot of people will charge good money to use the polls over on YouTube. We don't. It's free over here. So you could have participated in the poll for free if you would have felt like it. Most important thing for 2A right now. 47% say 2A activism, and that's the correct answer. 41% say New Mexico tyranny. That's a red herring. If you don't know what a red herring is, go read a definition of a red herring and you'll understand. 8% said, or no, sorry, that's 6%. This is on my tiny little monitor way far away from me. 6% said Massachusetts. 6% said the 90-day comment period. Trick answer, because all of them are important. New Mexico is fake. The rest of them have value, and the value isn't in fighting. The value is in learning how to fight. These are each opportunities for the new group of people. I can tell you with certainty that the group of people I'm fighting shoulder to shoulder with right now is different than it was 5 years ago, and that's different than it was 15 years ago. That's certainly different than it was 20 years ago. If you think it's going to be the same people standing arm in arm with you 2 years from now, 5 years from now, I'm sorry to tell you that that's not how it works. So right now, we have a group of people who are the most competent, have the most potential to end everything bad that's working against us. The problem is that we don't have leaders. We don't have people who understand the resources that are available right now and the ways to use them. I think we may. We have Gun Rights Policy Conference coming up, and they say that they get together and strategize. We've not seen much results of that other than, well, I'm not going to get into it, but we'll see. There's opportunity. USCCA is either happening or just happened. I like to think that even though people are going there to look at grip angles and red dot interface platforms or whatever, they're also meeting up after hours and having conversations about the things that matter. And the consequences of those meetings sometimes take a couple of weeks or whatever to come through. But let's go ahead and end this one. 2A activism is the answer. I know it just happened, but I'm saying the consequences of it will be still kind of coming out as people get home and people absorb the conversations they had. I'm giving way more credit to USCCA than I've ever seen results come out of USCCA, but we only have so many national level events to deal with. Let's see. So let's go backwards. Brooke is saying that just happened. Thank you. Woods is saying cute and quirky. Weird is different than weird. Okay. I don't know what I was saying. Brooke is saying weird makes the world go round. It does in a way. Why ally with robots? Because by understanding the robot, we master the robot. Robots are our friends. Everybody's saying hey to each other. Brooke is saying I can barely understand Instagram. Instagram has changed dramatically. It used to be a lot of fun. Instagram is like, I don't know, some kind of like a gun show or some kind of cool event that was really cool for a while. And then it got trashed by a bunch of losers. and then it's like gutted out and shitty. And then I go there because I'm used to it and it's easy and it's convenient. And I do communicate with some people on it. It's like faster than, I can zip over here to this little triangle over here. I don't think I should, because you'll see everybody's messages and stuff. But there's mostly I'm using Instagram as a communication tool, peer to peer, individual to individual. And then there's all this stuff that's shared. And then I distribute information on it. But as far as the platform itself being good for growth, good for discovery, good for in your time spent, nah, it's lost any of that. The people, there's no value in Instagram other than wasting time or being entertained while you're waiting for your dentist or something. And then the people that go there to offer that are useless. So unfortunately, most of the people that are dancing on Instagram are just wasting everybody's time. So Instagram itself ain't all that great, but what's happened on Instagram keeps me going back. If there was a better, different, a newer platform, even I don't care if it's newer, just different or better, I'm there. Instagram, I'm completely glazed over. I don't know what the word is. Like I've lost any interest in Instagram other than it's easy and I have a presence there. But I don't think it helps anybody. Instagram is certainly not gun friendly, and there's nobody using it with gusto. People are only using it as a residual at this point. So I wouldn't say it's worth any time. It's one of the reasons I do this show, is it gives us a chance to take the good stuff, all the best stuff that I'm able to find, and then wipe it over here on YouTube once a week. Really, I'm doing this for my Patreons so that they can check it out, and the channel members, but anybody else can check it out too. But then that way you don't have to go look at Instagram, because honestly, it's boring. It's lame. Back in the day, you could go to Instagram and what is it? This? If I searched on this hourglass? No. On the phone, if I click on the hourglass, it goes to a different page of like random stuff. But now if I went there, if I showed you my phone and I looked at the random stuff, quote unquote, it's basically boobs. It's girls in some, level of wearing a bikini. And then, or except nowadays, you wear a lightsaber and a bikini because you're cosplaying. And then stupid shit, sharks and cars and dumb shit that's like for 15-year-old kids or 13-year-old kids maybe. So Instagram doesn't show you what you care about, because we care about guns, and it won't show us guns. It won't even show me competition or politics. It doesn't show you anything. It only shows you, like, sometimes you'll see some military pictures and they're like weird, boring military pictures. So they're nothing. It's useless. It used to be kind of good. Roy is saying I haven't been on Instagram. It just became a massive time waster. Yeah, and the robot is good at figuring out what you like. So if you like blue Camaros, it's going to go find all the instances of a blue Camaro and shove them at you. Here's one racing. Here's one in a movie. Here's one at a car show. Here's one being built. Here's one being raced. It's going to show you everything you can think of, trying to desperately keep your attention. And as soon as you pause long enough at a panda during all that, it's going to start showing you pandas. It doesn't care. And because it doesn't care, it allows people that exploit that to exploit it. And it's just become a bit of a nothing. But I'll give it this. It's nowhere near as angry as Twitter. If I went over to Twitter right now, which whatever you want to call it nowadays, and I start looking at what Twitter's got going on. So here's mine, and mine is just essentially, here's what I'm doing, here's what my friends are doing. But if I go look at what other people are saying on Twitter, it gets ugly and mean quick. You will lose. Oops, I'm clicking the wrong thing. Firearms policy, something or another. Here's Susan. So we'll heart that. An IBM ad, thanks. So there's Toby. Okay, that one's not too bad. Video music, I don't know what that is. This is Rhonda Ezel. She kind of can take off her gloves every once in a while, but she's steadily slapping people. She's not often punching them, or she never sucker punching anybody, but she'll constantly slap people. Armed attorneys, USCCA, AR guns. Of course, now it's not going to be an example of it, but typically by the time I scroll down this much, it's a bunch of just people being mean and like snarky and telling me about somebody who got killed or some sort of somebody who snuck out from behind somewhere, and just like some kind of video of somebody getting smacked around. So it's just people looking at security camera videos often and then saying we're doomed as a society because I watched a security camera video. Worst channels out there are the channels that make people scared of each other by watching security camera shit. Such garbage. That's like, is any sports go out and just watch losers and losses? It's ridiculous. Brooklyn down with the ATF, total garbage. And then we're back to the weird moonshine. There's some kind of pancake moonshine, I guess, waffle moonshine. I don't know. That's what happens when you start drinking. You lose all sense of reality, and you start demanding waffle moonshine, I guess. All right. I think we're done. Flashback. Our following hashtags helps. There are some strategies for people like Susan, who I can imagine actually are trying to keep in touch with friends. There are some strategies, and that's how I manage through, is I have direct, I'm following certain people, so I see their feeds, and then everyone, well, I guess if I wanted to, I would know how to go navigate some hashtags, but you're right. There are some ways that you can use the platforms. In general, though, the platforms are essentially, they close the doors to us, or they close the doors behind us every time we leave. And it just made it much more different, or much more difficult to have people follow you. You used to be able to say, hey, I'm going into Instagram, follow me through here, here, and here, and here. And then they kind of make that less and less possible. So the only people you're really talking to are the people that are already in Instagram. Okay, Mike White has taken off. It's about time for us to leave this one be. 2 hours. So we comfortably fit 2 hours in talking about, like, I don't know how many posts that was, but that's because we didn't have Cape Gunworks right after this. So normally this will be on in the morning, and we'll go into, we'll end it right as Cape Gunworks starts their show. I'm going to recommend that you go watch Cape Gunworks. I think it's going to still trigger that. And even though it's already happened, it'll trigger that. It'll recommend that you go watch it. We'll stop this from doing that. We'll say thanks again once more for everybody joining. If I missed anybody in the comments, it's not intentional. I just missed it here, trying to do everything myself. My co-host has left me. He's you can hear him snoring, maybe. I don't know how good this mic is. But with that, we'll say thanks again to the Patreons whose support makes it possible for us to even consider spending 2 hours on this. I didn't care at all about grip angles. I'm not making anyone in the industry happy about me. I'm probably burning bridges with some of the exploitive people in the 2A community, and I'm just boring the people that don't get outraged by the continual exploitation of red herrings when we have the opportunity to end the fucking NFA, which is what we have in our hands right now. All right, I'm going to end this one and recommend the store. Thanks for buying stuff. We'll be back next time.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
Cheat.
Ninja! Ninja! Ninja!
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America.